What you guys probably don't realize is that the first Evergreen did not go off without a hitch by any means.
No.
Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong at the same time, and including like the pipe and drape. You know, they come in, they set up the pipe and drape, and they have to have a generator for electricity. Everything was wrong. They even though we paid for everything, they were doing other shows for other conventions and gave us basically the C crew. And they showed up and immediately just started eating pizza and stuff. So Riley and I and Jeremiah and these people, we just started doing the shit
Taylor
ourselves. Yeah, exactly. And we started, Nikki and Aaron, everybody just pitched in. I think we went home at like 4 o'clock in the fucking morning just to be there at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and the shit still wasn't done. Wow. And then no electricity. And then the guy finally shows up and turns the generator on for 20 minutes. Power starts going out. People are already bitching. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to fucking have a heart attack. Like, and I don't even regret it, because honestly, it made us all better friends, and it made the rest of the shows so good because they run so smooth now and we really know what to do. But my God, man, I mean, only Riley and I and the people that were there understand how insane this was. It was, we really, we fucking stayed and tore down as well. You know what I mean? We set the show up. We tore down the show. The fucking fire department was like, "Oh, your stage is 2 inches too high. I know you just spent 6 hours building it. Guess what, motherfuckers? Tear it down and do it again."
That's right.
Yeah. Fuck.
There's. It's funny because going through that, like, I don't think I could ever go through that again. And I think every year, every time we do a show, we kind of meet up at the very end of it. And we go, "Okay, dude, are we okay?" Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Because
we're gonna do this again, right?
Right. And everybody told me how hard this was to do, and it was incredibly hard, but it was a success. Not to brag, but right off the bat, no one really knew that. So it looked, no one knew the problems. They just saw a good show because we kept it together. But so then the next year, Riley and I like to walk and talk. We like to go for these, let's walk around the building and talk. And we were like, well, if it's a fluke, we'll know, because here we are, it's the second year, and we fucking did even better. So, because we thought maybe it was a fluke, maybe we got lucky, you know what I mean? But it just kept getting better, and we would listen to people, and we outgrew the venue, you know what I mean? And now we're at a bigger venue for more parking, and we bought another convention, so it worked, So like we took a huge fucking gamble, and I didn't know at the time that Riley was the king of gambling. I didn't know that. We took this massive gamble. Right, exactly, the king of winning. And it really wasn't until COVID fucking snatched that shit out of our hands, because we do talk numbers and finances on here, Riley, so I think it's okay. But as soon as COVID hit, Riley and I lost $100,000 like that.
Damn.
We lost
we lost $150,000 in a day.
Yeah, 150 in a day.
On a fucking Wednesday.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, what lesson is life trying to teach me now? Oh, you also have cancer. Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all these shit happen, you know what I mean? But we are planning on coming back stronger than ever. I know everybody's like hungry for these shows, and Evergreen is set for October, and man, I got to tell you, I haven't been more excited to do anything in a long fucking time. So you guys better fucking be there. You better be there. It's going to be amazing.
I love just as much as the show showing up like fucking 3 days before it and getting comfortable, and then coming in Thursday and then Friday morning and like helping set up and putting water in Sharps containers. I just love doing that shit.
Yeah, you've been around and seen some of the backside of things, you know what I mean, for sure.
And I may have missed like the growing pains at the beginning, but it's just fun, dude. I enjoy it because it's like, it's always cool to be part of something that's more than you. So when you can come in like with the heart of a servant and just like give and just be there just to be there, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, and that was really the idea of Evergreen is, our motto was always to leave tattooing better than you found it. You know what I mean? And so you are 100% one of what Riley and I like to call the core people. We love everybody at the show, but there's a smaller group that you're a part of, and I know you know the rest with Jeremiah and stuff as well, that are like that core family people that we know we can rely on and count on, and Matt as well. And it's just nice, man. It's like it really shows you who the real motherfuckers are, the ones that show up not only show up early, not just to go hiking because Oregon is beautiful, but they show up early on the floor. Hey, I'm not doing shit. Do you need some help? Because we fucking do. So for me personally, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I find it different. Everybody at that show is so important to us. That's why we do it. A lot of people have different ideas of why we do this. Like we want we want to make it better always. But it's funny, you know, you talk about the core guys. It's the people that really, really, it's not like that's their favorite show. They really, really believe in what we're doing. And it's like, you talk about the early times, like, I think it's humbling for both me and Josh, some of the stuff that the show allows us to do. It's like, if you ever think like we're some kind of big shot promoters and rich guys, all you have to do is hang around at 11:30 on Sunday at Evergreen and watch us take the trash out.
Yeah, that blows people's minds.
Actually,
I had somebody literally write me the other day, and they're like, "Hey, you might not realize this, but I was at one of your conventions, and I was tattooing a handicapped guy, and he goes, you walked straight into my booth, and you actually offered me or my client, do you need anything?" And he's like, "I'll never forget that." And it's like, shit, that's such a small thing, but like, they're like, you know, Riley's taking the owner of the convention's taking the trash out. Shit, we'll get you a sandwich. Like, we want you guys to be all the things, you know, Riley and I have done hundreds of shows. We want you to be like all this shit that we were like, wouldn't it be nice if they took care of us? Well, what if we did that, right? Because it's one big tattoo shop, right? So Riley's tattoo shop, so he's remodeling Lifetime right now. Doesn't Riley want his tattoo shop, his guys to be and his girls to be happy? Yeah. Evergreen is just one big tattoo shop for the weekend, so why wouldn't we go out of our way? It makes sense to us, but it unfortunately doesn't to everybody else, you know.
Man,
there's a it's a sense of pride, really, and Josh nailed it. That was part of like from the get-go. We were like, we should create a show that we want to go to, and we thought of all the stuff that we never liked about tattoo shows. We're like, we're not going to do that. We're going to change that. You know, it's just the weird things that we did that I really didn't know how important that would be to other people. Like, I can't count how many shows I ever did where all you had was a little chicken sandwich place to eat. There wasn't a store. You couldn't get water. You couldn't get food. You couldn't get a fucking banana. You were just kind of stuck there, you know? So it was like, well, let's worry about the food. And then of course, Joshua was like, well, why don't we just buy all the food? You know, let's just cater it in. And
when you start breaking down numbers and stuff, and you're like, diminishing return, you're like, it's worth it. We'll have a VIP room if you've paid for a booth, and hey, here's this secret room that only artists can come into. You know what I mean? Here's some healthy choices that aren't full of weed. So
maybe
maybe.
You talk about numbers, like what do you think our budget is for Red Bull for the artist? You know?
Oh God, yeah, Red Bull alone, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
yeah. And,
I like
simple things like that, or like how about noise discipline? Like that's always been one that we always did. I hate being next to the guy that's blaring music, being a jerk. So we don't have it.
Yeah, just like counterproductive music. Like we love music as much as the next guy, but we provide a series of different forms of music, and we have no problem with people having music in their booth. But there's always somebody who's trying to give music to the entire show, and it always causes problems. Somebody's always complaining. It's always insanely loud. You know what I mean? So it sounds like a nitpicky thing, but when you experience it for 7 or 8 years straight, it does become a thing. You know what I mean? When so many artists, they're just trying to create, they want to do the best job they can do. You know what I mean?
It's interesting to me that it went from an idea that you and I had where we were kind of talking about how maybe shows should do this, or maybe it should be a little better, or maybe we could make it a little better.
Right.
But then once we got down the road a couple of shows, the reaction from the artists that came, they were either shocked at how great it was, or they were like, well, it should be like this more. I wish it was more like this. Yeah. And it kind of starts self-policing itself.
Totally.
It really does. Like the core artists are looking out for the show and for the other artists, and all of a sudden, like me and Josh don't have to flip over tables or drag you outside, or
Right. And a good example of that, how appreciative people are is, do you remember when we had pins for the people who had been there since the beginning? And we, Riley and I walked around and handed out these pins. Was it 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah, so there's these people, and there was a lot of them that had been there from day one, supported us through everything. So we made these commemorative, is that how you say it? Commemorative pins. So, and it was kind of cool just walking around and saying, hey, when you got a minute, I'd like to give you this. And that little pin meant so much to those people. It would have meant the world to me as well if I was in the other position. So I think little details like that we recognize that you have been here from day one, and that means the fucking world to us. So little things like that. We would be nowhere. There'd be no Evergreen if it wasn't for these amazing tattoo artists. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
And what's been really fucking cool, one of my proudest moments is, Riley and I decided, okay, yes, we want the big names. Of course we want these guys, but what about the big names that are next? So we spent a lot of time, literally handpicking you know what? I see something in this person. Like, yeah, their work is good. I see that one's a little rough, but don't you think? And man, from day one, some of these people are fucking superstars now.
Yeah.
And it is so cool to watch them grow. Like, you know, Edgar Marquez is a good example. Always been incredible. Like he was very, very good. But we watched him turn into just the most, you know, one of my favorite tattoo artists, Robbie Latos. You know, like wow, what an incredible artist. You know what I mean? And not that we discovered him, but we could see it. We knew. We were like, you know, honestly, Hip was a great example.
Hippie's a great example.
Fantastic example of like, yeah, you're doing some really nice stuff. Now look at the work is fucking through the roof. You know what I mean? And we saw that shit years. I think we saw that shit before you saw it, Hip. You know what I mean? So
do you remember when we met Tyler Andrews?
Exactly. But another great example.
Yeah.
Great example.
He was
sweetheart. Another kid behind the counter, and then we went to Dave & Buster's, and next thing you know, here he is.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's been really cool to watch these people, you know, Justine, just to watch these people who just fucking murdered it. And it was like we watched it. It feels, as weird as it sounds, it feels like watching your kids grow up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's been cool. So as you can tell, I'm super eager to get Evergreen back.